put there in your school, maybe what you are doing in your school that you have not filled in the information up, you add it where you have additional duties. I think that is all for this section. It's very easy section, and we have been filling most of this information in our schools. As teachers, we have forms related to this. So that is that for part 5. So over to you, Tambe. In case of any questions, we'll answer them later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arabella, for that very brief and apt presentation on work history. If we have any question, then we'll be welcoming this question in the chat box. In case there is anybody who wants to ask a question, we're going to pause just for 1 minute to find out whether there's any question. Please, I can hear noise in the background there. So we call on, please mute your microphone.
Okay, while we are waiting for questions, I would like to chip in something about additional duties in school. I think this is a very important aspect of our applications. There are some things that we do in school that we might minimize that could actually be a plus to application. Maybe if you're the head of department, you could actually use that to illustrate your leadership capacity or leadership abilities in your school. Maybe if you've led a school club, or maybe you're a class master, for example, that's an additional duty that you have in school, which is often very important to emphasize. So if you're in your application, let's take that additional duty aspect very serious.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Yes, any other contribution? If not, we move over to the next speaker. And that speaker will be giving us, yes, Sami?
Yes, Tambe. Yeah, I just wanted to chip in something about the additional duties to what Emmanuel and Arabella have just listed. You should not forget that you could also be like the president of the staff socials in your school, or you occupy another position like the secretary general, the treasurer, and any other positions in the school. So it is important for you to highlight some of those additional duties. But the most important thing is you must bring out the role. What is the role that you play in that particular category? Class master, you need to know what are the functions of the class master, because most often people just say I'm class master and they cannot. What is the role of the class master? As class master, what do? You coordinate, you do this, you do this, you do this. You need to highlight all of that. And then just to add to, I think Arabella will have to check that. I think most of our timetables have like I teach maths, they will give me a timetable of just 16 hours. Those 16 hours are just teaching hours, but we must take into consideration the time that we use for grading of students, which is often done at home, in order to maybe top up the number of hours we actually work per week. Actually, the timetable shows 16 hours. You have to give more because you have time that you set your questions, you have time that you do grading of students and all of that. It's very important to appear on your timetable, not only the teaching hours, but you should also add some hours there to indicate that here you do grading of students and evaluation of students and all of that.
Thank you very much, Sami. I think that's going to be espoused by Tabot Delphine on teaching schedules. So Tabot Delphine, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I am, of course, Tabot Delphine, and I'm going to talk about. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet, you're waiting?
Not yet. It appears that you want to share, but still loading. All right, it's okay now.
Yeah, we can see now.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I want to welcome all participants on board, and I'm going to treat teaching schedule. I'm from the University of Nevada, Reno as Atem Arabella and Jafsia in the 2022 spring cohort. This is me and my cohort participants celebrating my birthday. I was really fortunate to have celebrated a birthday out of Cameroon. Now, getting back to what is at stake, teaching schedule. The other presenters have virtually spoken about teaching schedule. We just need to polish it. On teaching schedule, do you have a full-time teaching schedule? When we talk about teaching schedule, we obviously mean your timetable. What does your timetable look like? How many hours on average do you have per week in your school? That's what we mean. We are talking about a weekly schedule, your weekly teaching hour for one school. You finish with one school. Then if you are teaching in more than one school, you can elaborate the teaching schedule for the other schools. Then make sure you select the main school that you're going to use and elaborate well. You should provide a sample of your weekly teaching schedule. Include all classes you're currently teaching, including your planning and preparation time. I hope you understand what we mean by planning. You can't get to class and teach if you don't plan. So you have to take into consideration how many hours you do use in order to plan for a particular lesson for a period, for that period of time. So if you use 3 hours planning, you need to mention that, because that is how the American system functions. They do not consider just your teaching, you are present in the classroom. They consider the journey you make all through, from your research right up to your teaching. And sometimes you do research in between hours. So you need to mention that, but remember, the hours should not clash. So whatever you are doing at a particular time should be whatever you are doing at that particular time. It should not be doing two things at the same period of time. So for science teachers, obviously you have your practicals. You need to mention that. That's a practical hour also counts. Preparation before the practical hours do count. So make sure you do not leave out all the necessary information. If you teach in more than one school, please indicate the school, the name of the school. And then obviously you have to elaborate on the teaching schedule of that school. So if you prefer to elaborate 3 schools that you teach, make sure you elaborate well that you teach in those schools, and you really, it must show that you have time to teach in 3 different schools and the hours do not clash. So, like I said at the beginning, the other speakers have said everything about teaching schedule. Nobody here does not understand what a timetable is. All we need to do now is to elaborate a particular timetable. So I wish that a participant opt and come out, let's use his or her timetable and try to fill in, I don't know. You can draft the, let's see. Okay, we can fill it here. If there is anybody who wants to opt, we use his timetable and we fill, so that you see the various entries. You have the school that you teach in, the name of the school, the day of week, what day, is it a Monday, a Tuesday, and so on and so forth. The time of that day, from this time to this time. If you are teaching, for example, on a Monday at 8 a.m., you have to put the time duration. When they say time of the day, it means the time 8 to what hour. You have to elaborate that. Then on the length of class, from 8 a.m. to 8:50, for example. That's the time of the day. Therefore, it is a 50-minute teaching period. I don't know if we are moving along together.
Yes, we are.
Yes,
And you have the subject.
Yes,
You have your subject.
5 on 5. Yes,
you have your subject. So you put in your subject. Are you an English language teacher, English as a foreign language? You put it EFL. So you specify that you have to go straight to the point. The Americans do not want to be thinking much about your own system. So try to figure out the equivalence of the American system and use their language. They will understand better because they are the ones that give the final grading. Then the grade level. So I had this experience that the very first time I applied for the Fulbright, I used Form 1, Form 2, Form 3. I was comfortable and I felt that I have done my best, but they do not understand that language. So you need to look for the equivalence of form and put the grades. The number of students, you must be able to know the number of your students that you teach and their age range. So this obviously is a summary of what you need to fill in your teaching schedule. And when you fill length of class, you put there for subject, you put, let's take an example, you put English as a foreign language, EFL. And then you can put by the side a stroke, let's say EFL. Then you can put a / and put teaching. They will know that it is the teaching in the classroom. Now, on the other hand, if it is, say, chemistry, you don't put teaching. If you want to refer to practicals, you put practicals. If it is preparation, planning, you put prep, preparation, or you put prep. Make sure you put the subject before, and then you put a / before you use prep. So you are elaborating what you did during that time of the day in the week. I hope it is clearer now. So when you are done with your first school, there is a portion that you need to click to move on to a second school. If you have more than one school, you do that. So there's availability of filling as many as 4 schools. If you can teach in 4 schools for 1 week and elaborate a teaching schedule, oh, fine for you. So see what you can do and do your very best. In my time, I had just 2 schools and I elaborated well the 2 schools. Okay, if there is any question concerning the filling, you can go ahead and ask your question. If not, thank you for this short moment.
Thank you very much, Del, for that very practical and a very erudite presentation. I think I'm equally very, very impressed, and I feel it very pertinent. And that's why we have a question relating to that. This is Damson, once more thumping up for us, Fulbright alumni, for our presentations, which have been very pertinent to him. But this particular worry is that the American system is very different from ours. So is it possible to go through successfully without telling lies?
Yes, it's possible. The American, they don't believe in lies telling. Say your truth. If you have 13 hours of teaching, because our system, we show more of the teaching hours. We do not have a period for planning, but we know that we have to plan a lesson before we teach that lesson. So what the Cameroon system gives is 18 and 21, right? That is the teaching hours. You can go as far as adding right up to 25, depending on you. How long do you use to plan your lesson for a day? You state it. Now, some of you, when you are in school, between periods, while you are waiting for a next period, that bridge hour, you are doing something. You might be planning for the next teaching moment. You figure out how to put that time, the time of the day that you do that particular activity. It is a pedagogic activity, so it needs to be added to your hours of teaching. Effective teaching. That's what they say. Effective teaching. You can't be teaching effectively without planning, preparation, and then in school you need to prepare as well the other lessons that come. I hope I have made that clearer. If there's some other person who wants to add, there's a hand up.
Yes,
Damson is a minute, Sam. Damson, okay. I think you asked a question through the chat. I see your hand up again. Any additional question, Damson?
Yes, somebody is asking if Damson is not ready. There is a question here on, do you fill the time for your number of schools on a separate timetable, or you use the same timetable? Because he says he has seen the table and it requires you write the name of the schools. Yes, like I said, you must finish with the first school, the teaching schedule of the first school. Once that is done, you will see below addition. You will see there's a box below that you need to add a second school. There, a table will appear again for you to fill for the second school.
Okay, and there's another question here before that one. I teach in Form 5 and lower 6. What grades are they called in the American standard? That's from Abusu Fomba Robert.
I believe it's grade 10 and 11.
Robert has a contribution. Yes, Robert. A hand show from Robert.
Grade 10 and 11 respectively.
Okay, grade 10
can
and 11.
You hear me?
Yes,
can you hear
Robert,
me?
welcome.
Yes, Robert,
thank
go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Yeah, the question about the grades, like I would just say, know that grade 12 is opposite, and then start going down, you will find where the grades are. No, opposite is 12, so you're going down, lower seed will be 11, and then you continue going down. That is how it is with them. I just wanted to say that the level of the timetable, I don't know why many people worry. If you have 18 hours, put 18 hours. If you teach in different schools, you put all the hours of the schools there. It is there is provision for that, so they will always know that you're still teaching, even if it's it's not in the same school, but it will count on your numbers of teaching hours, whether it is in or in the other. Saying lies, no, it's not good to tell lies. Yes, okay. In me, you may tell lies and then it catches you somewhere. So it's better to just tell the truth. If you're teaching 18 hours, say you have 18 hours, but do not put lies in the 18 hours. And then they will always see what to consider. And for the teachers in the technical school, yesterday somebody asked about accounting. And I want to still say, I don't know how accounting got to enter there, but like the person needs to check very well. Technical school teachers actually are not concerned with this program. They have other programs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
Just to add, yeah, to the worry of
background noise.
The worry of the person who asked the question of lies telling. You should note that when you're filling this form, whatever you fill gets to the database of the American database. So much so that it will be on your disadvantage if you start contradicting yourself. So try as much as possible not to contradict yourself. Remember, it is a very competitive, very high competitive application process. So you need to do your best to come out the best. So once you start putting in lies, then obviously you are not ready for the process.
Please, that noise at the background is coming.
Mute.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Tambe, I think that.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, the person, G, can you put off your mute yourself?
Please, Peter Lamango, please.
Somebody should just mute him, please. Somebody can mute him.
He has been
James,
muted.
please. Okay.
He has been muted.
Okay, that's great.
All right. So please, I was trying to say something. I know we asking that question, the person is trying to look at our own system, what maybe comes from our ministry. If you are working below 18 hours, you're being underworked or whatsoever. The American system, they don't look at that. First of all, they know that those of us who come from Africa, we have the problem of large classes. And they always take into consideration all of those. I might indicate that I am teaching 12 hours and you have 18 hours, but other things will be taken into consideration that my application will be selected over you who is having 18 hours. Remember, there's a section for your leadership journey, what you have been doing. There's a place for personal statement, part 9. They'll have they look at some. And most often, the personal statement, the way, if I really have the passion in teaching, my personal statement will be different from somebody who just wanted to get a job in teaching. All of those things count. So don't just look at the number of hours thinking that maybe because you put 18 hours, you are afraid they might not select you for 18 hours. No. When I was teaching, but when I was selected for this program, I had less than 15 hours I was teaching. We're over 18 teachers in our school, and I think I was having like 9 hours a week. And I remember traveling with my timetable. I printed my timetable. I printed some certain things because we were asked to bring that during that our period, our cohort. I had to carry my timetable along. So just imagine that you had filled 18 hours and at the end of the day, you're carrying a timetable of maybe 8 hours and the rest. So please avoid lie telling. And don't forget that we have people at the embassy. We don't know if they review those applications. The next year you put something and they want to try to track it and they realize that each year you just keep on lying and lying and lying. Please avoid lie telling. Put what is there and commit everything to God, maybe for the selection. As Delphine said, it is highly competitive. So just be yourself while you're applying. Thank you. Tambem, I think yeah.
We still have some time we can take Sophie's Ngasa, the hand is raised, so we can get a question and then we move on to the next presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. One of the speakers mentioned that this program is not for technical school teachers. So I just want you again to highlight that part. And he also said that there are other programs with them. I would like to know the names of those programs. Thank you.
Okay, Robert, are you there?
Yes, I am there, Emmanuel.
All right.
Yes, I wanted to say, whenever you're applying for a program, you need to read the eligibility criteria. On the eligibility criteria, it is well stated. You might try your luck, but it is well stated. And then even with the session we had with the embassy staff the other day, it was said that even if you're teaching language, you're teaching French and teaching it to you're a teacher of French to Francophones, you are not eligible to the program. The program is not for technical school teachers. That is what was said. And it was said by the people who do the selection. And when you read the eligibility criteria, it's actually written there that it is for language teachers, language teachers, that is English to Francophones, English, French to Anglophones, that's what was said, and English to Anglophones, yes. Then German teachers, they are eligible. The Spanish teachers, they are eligible, yes. Because when you get there to your partner teacher may be teaching but Spanish or those other languages. Yes, apart from that, it's for science teachers. When they say science teachers, they mean the teachers who teach like biology, physics, chemistry. Yes, those are the main science subjects that are considered: maths, biology, physics, chemistry. Then it's for those doing the social sciences. The social sciences will be subjects like philosophy, history, and geography. You might want to go back to the program announcement and read the eligibility criteria. Yes. And actually, when they collect the applications, first of all, before they start, they want to see whether you're, first of all, eligible before they're reading all the rest. They want to, are you qualified for it before they read all the rest? That's what actually was discussed the other day. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert, for that precision.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we move ahead to the next presenter, and that's going to be on the theme, which is part 7, additional education or professional experience and activities. Loveline Shiaga, over to you.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
All right.
We are getting
okay, good evening, everybody. Just to cue in with what was being said earlier about lies telling, please remember that there will always be reference. You are putting references on your application, and if you make it through, there's a possibility that your school will be called, especially your principal, to ask about you. There will be background checks about you. So avoid lies telling as much as possible. Just be yourself, put in what you are doing the right way you can put it, I think. And put your fingers crossed. You cannot be planning to for an opportunity like this and you are thinking of lies telling. That's already beginning to, that's like planning to fail already. So just do what you are doing, put in what you are doing and hope for the best. That said, concerning my presentation, which is the 7th part, I think Delphine or Emmanuel can share my slide. I'm having internet issues here with CAFTAL, so I'm logged in on the computer and also on my phone. So I'm actually using by my phone while my computer is dancing. So if they can share my slides with me, we can go ahead. Thank you.
I don't know if Emmanuel is ready. It's taking a lot of time at my end.
Okay.
I'm working on that. 1 minute, please.
Right.
Let me share it.
Okay, while Emmanuel is trying to share the screen, I just want to, the other participant was asking about other programs. There is, the yearly program is there for young people at the US Embassy. They've got Tech Women, they've got Fulbright student, they've got Fulbright research, they've got the yearly for students, they've got a lot of programs. Thank you. Yeah.
Over to you, Lovely. Your screen is sharing now.
Okay, so part 7, we are talking about additional education or professional experience and activities. And the emphasis here is additional education, because educational activities that you have been carrying out, because that shows that you've already been doing something and they want to know the extra things you are doing besides teaching. What have you been doing to empower yourself? What have you been doing after you left Teachers Training College? What else have you been doing to enhance your teaching and learning process? Are you just a classroom teacher, or what extra things have you been doing? So on the next slide, we are to look at the keywords. The keywords that we are talking about additional, the extra activities that you have been carrying out. And some of the words will also have, please list Please list activities you have pursued to maintain and improve your professional training as an educator. For example, conferences, professional training, publications, certificate programs, etc. Please indicate if you have led professional development programs. List professional organizations that you are a member of and describe relevant work in your community outside of school. In 500 words or less, please name 5 to 10 of your most significant publications, honors, and awards, and other professional accomplishments in the last 10 years. So you have those extra things you have to put in, and they're asking you to list them, and you have to indicate exactly what you've been doing. Have you been attending conferences? Have you been carrying out extra professional training? Have you published any books? Have you published maybe your thesis, like on your PhD thesis? Have you gone for any certificate programs? So you have to indicate all of that, because all these help to give you a rich portfolio. All these help to show that you are not a lazy teacher. You're not a teacher who is just sitting and teaching, and you care to update yourself on what is actually going on in your domain. You care to update yourself on what is going on in the teaching, in the education field. And so you are trying to improve yourself, because automatically when you improve on yourself, you also improve on the quality of the education you are giving to your students. So this should be part of it. So we have those keywords which I've underlined, and we are talking about the most significant ones. And the next slide is still on the different professional or the education professional activities that you've carried out. So we are talking about conferences. Have you attended any significant conferences at the national and international levels? Have you carried out any professional training? Maybe you went to the first cycle of teachers training, and then you move to the second cycle. Have you done anything like that? You should add that in your portfolio. Have you done any publications, maybe written articles, books, academic papers, or maybe are you a blogger? You could also talk about if you're a blogger, like you're doing blogging, especially education related, because that shows that you're a creative thinker. You are thinking out of the box. Maybe you have a good blog page, or you have a website or something that shows that you are active besides your classroom teaching. Have you done any certificate programs, courses, like maybe you are carrying out MOOCs, massive online certificate courses that are always free? You have taken out, you've undergone some MOOCs, you've gotten some certificates in other areas. Do you have any of these? Academic programs like the university, are you having, maybe you had a first degree, have you moved on to have a master's or a PhD? What other university programs have you carried out besides what you already have? And then for professional organizations and associations, which ones are you a member of? Are you a member of like an English language teacher? I'm an English language teacher. Sorry, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm an English and French language teacher in GHS Bolifamba here in Boya. I belong, for instance, in professional groups like CAMELTA. I belong in ELTA, the African ELTA. I belong in TESOL, the TESOL organization, IETFL, and so on. I have membership in all of those groups. So normally those are things I must indicate, because it shows that I am doing extra work on myself besides teaching. And then community development activities. What are you doing for your community besides teaching in the classroom? What are you doing to help your students, to help your teaching community, to help your community at large, wherever you are living? What are you doing besides that? All of these things that we do, there are things that sometimes we do and we kind of neglect them. This is the moment for you to indicate all of those in your program, because it helps to give you credibility. It helps to show that you are actually working. It helps to show that you're a teacher who is ready to empower themselves, who is ready to improve on the quality of the education they are serving, and empower the students that they have. You're a teacher who does not just live within the box. You think out of the box, you do extra things. You don't limit yourself to, because we know we have colleagues that once they have that matricule, the issue is about having a matricule. Once you have the matricule, you think it is the end of the world. So if you are one of those who know that Having a matricule is not the end of the world. You are doing extra things. Please don't hesitate to show these extra things, because it helps to make you to be outstanding. It helps to put you out of, to put you at the top of other people. Remember, this is a very competitive application process. And so whatever extra thing you have going on that can help you to make your application richer, don't hesitate to put it. Okay, next slide, please, Emmanuel. I hope I'm not talking so much.
No, not at all.
All right.
That's
All right.
Slide.
So yeah, so that's just it. Basically, that is it when it comes to extra activities. I hope that I have been able to touch those what is actually needed in that area. If there are any questions, I will answer. Thank you, and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much for that exquisite presentation. It's very, very enriching. I hope participants will be the one to appreciate that based on the questions that they're going to ask. Maybe equally contribution too from any of us. Hello?
Yes, hello Tambe. Okay, I think that was really a good presentation. So we'll take a few questions before we move on to the next presentation.
Well, I have a question here. Maybe it's relating to the previous presentation. Maybe the answer to the science subject is geology isn't considered. Is geology isn't considered as a part of science subject? Is it?
It is.
It is part of science subject. That's good. So
I think
the fact that it wasn't mentioned
is a science subject.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay.
Like computer science. Computer science is also part of it.
Especially the STEM fields. Okay. If there's no other question, except I have not noticed any hand show. Fumban, have you noticed any hand show from any participant? Not yet. Okay. So can we move ahead?
Yes, I think let's move on to the next presentation. We may have questions at the end and other contributions from ourselves at the end.
Okay, that's great. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the tail end of our presentation. I mean, the very last presentation for today. And it's all about Fulbright gender cohort. What is it all about? What does it entail? What are the expectations of this part of application? Leke Cynthia Sanyi. Your turn, madam.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fulbright gender cohort application stuff. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you 5 on 5.
It's very well.
And I will be facilitating this talk. My presentation is particularly relevant to those interested in the Fulbright gender cohort, as it is optional. I hope we contribute positively towards the successful completion of your application and achieving your professional goals. So I will begin by sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
We can see.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah.
Yes, Cynthia, we can see your screen, please. Right on.
Well, thank you. So here is an overview of my presentation.
Cynthia, you blocked somewhere?
Yeah, no, I'm all right. I'm good. Can
So
you see an overview of my presentation?
Should I stop sharing?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Delphine, are you sharing?
Yeah.
Yes, it is already shared on the screen. We can see.
That's fine. Then can you go ahead? Share, please. Thank you.
Okay, I'm already on slide 2.
Thank you.
Is it okay?
Okay, that's an overview of the presentation.
Okay.
We move to the next slide.
Are we
So
there?
thank you. This is actually for reflection. For those who are interested in the gender cohort, you may want to reflect on this slogan from the European Union, which says education has no gender. Next slide, please. About the cohort. So the cohort is gender sensitive. However, it focuses more on girls. Next slide. Thank you, David. So why the focus on girls? We may want to find out why the focus on girls. So this I got from a Twitter page. It was a tweet that was gotten from the UNESCO website. Invest in girls' education. So we have some statistics information about why the focus on girls' education. And you may want to read the information we have there. 31 million girls of primary school age are not enrolled in school. The picture is different for girls and boys. So if we look at 100 girls per 100 boys, which is at the beginning entry school level, we realize that when we move to the primary school level, we have 92 girls per 100 boys. And we move to the secondary education level, we have 84 girls against 100 boys. And tertiary education, 61 girls against 100 boys. We realize that there is a gap, there is a drop in retention rate, in girls' retention rate as opposed to those of boys. So that's why there is a focus on girl child education, or focus on the girls. Why the cohort chooses or decides to focus more on girls, to see how we could get retention rate, we could keep girls in school, going to school. And we have some of the reasons for dropout: child marriage, school fees, sexual violence, lack of sanitary facilities. But if we could keep girls in school beyond grade 7, they would be more likely to marry 4 years later, less likely to die in pregnancy, childbirth, more likely to have an average of 2.2 fewer children, more likely to have healthier children, and lastly, more likely to send their children to school. So there could be other reasons for this. However, I decided to put up this statistic so you see why the cohort decides to focus more on girls, even though it is gender sensitive. Delphi, next slide. Next slide, please. So let's go to components to look out for in our application form. So the question we have actually has 3 parts. I decided to narrow it down this way. The first part is, would you be interested in participating in a T cohort that will focus on gender responsive classrooms and improving education for girls? And the next is, describe the opportunities available or challenges faced by girls in your community to receive a quality education. And the last, if applicable, describe strategies you have implemented to expand or improve opportunities for girls' education, or address other important issues affecting girls in your community. So I would like to mention here that I decided to do this, permit me, I'm an English language teacher, and I thought it wise to put the question in the different components so we understand what is actually expected of us in our application. And it's going to help us to make our application logical, coherent, concise, and there's going to be cohesion. So can we move to the next slide? So the very first component of our patient to look out for is, would you be interested in participating in a T cohort that will focus on gender responsive classroom and improving education for girls? We notice that gender responsive classroom has to do with everyone, girls and boys, okay? It's not just limited to girls. So that's why I said that the cohort is gender sensitive. However, there is more focus, or there's more articulation of the girls on the girls. So for your introduction, You may want to mention the thesis statement, your interest. You may want to talk about the context of your school, because the context of your school already gives room for some anticipation of the kinds of maybe challenges or the kinds of strategies you implement or may want to implement in order to overcome challenges. So it could be rural, urban, single sex or single or same sex school, maybe age, maybe institution type, very briefly in your introduction. Remember that this is not exhaustive, okay? This is not an exhaustive list of things to mention. There are just proposals. There are just proposals or hints or things I would like to draw your attention to when you're filling this part of the application or writing your introduction. After that, you can briefly state the realities of your school in terms of gender responsiveness and girls' education. Okay, what is the situation of your school? Very briefly, for those who teach in several schools, maybe there are some similarities. You may want to narrow all your similarities down. If you have different realities of different schools, you may want to mention that in your introduction very briefly. And then you conclude the introduction by restating your desire to participate in the gender T cohort. Next page. So the next slide takes us to the next component, which is describe the opportunities available or challenges faced by girls in your community to receive a quality education. So this is the body of your writing, and we do not have a word count limitation. So you may want to look at the body beginning with opportunities available, and you need to write a topic sentence to introduce this part of the work. And for opportunities available, these are some proposals, okay? The first is equal fields of study for boys and girls. I think that's the case of most of our schools in Cameroon. The policies are open. If you want to do the sciences or the arts, you're free as long as you get the required grades, okay? So there are no limitations in terms of this, or to say that a boy cannot study this or cannot take this field of study or discipline, or a girl cannot do a particular discipline. So the second opportunities available for our learners or for us is that we have trained teachers to ensure quality. Remember, there is a focus on quality education here, and quality education can only be guaranteed through trained teachers or through quality teachers, okay? So we have trained teachers to ensure quality, and then we have alumni support, okay? This is also very important. You may want to mention the support. Let's say you are a kind of a liaison officer between the alumni association of your school and teachers or students for how they can come in and support. You may want to mention the role you play in such an exercise. Also, institutional support. Maybe your school has some institutional support like mentorship or counseling or whatever, and you play a central role, right? Pivot to that exercise. You should mention it in your application. So do not think that what you do in that life is not relevant. It's actually relevant, and it's going to help in your application. So the next, you may want to have another paragraph in which you have challenges faced by girls, and you introduce that paragraph with a topic sentence. And after that, you immediately go to retention rate. Remember the previous slide on the statistics about retention rates between boys and girls in secondary schools or in school systems around the world. So you may want to look at retention rate. What are some of the challenges in terms of retention rate? We got some already from there. We have early marriage, we have pregnancy, we have finances, we have poor performance. Just to say that some girls may drop out of school because they are not getting the required grades, okay? They are not performing well. We have cases of repeating a class severally. We've had students in the class drop out because of that reason. We have instability, okay? if we look at the recent happenings in our country, we realize a lot of instability could be political, could be social, could even be health reasons, okay? And then we have sanitation, and we know how sanitation is important. So if some of these reasons, girls face some of these reasons in your school, community, or in your environment, you have to mention that. We equally have STEM biases, okay? We have biases with regards to the girls taking up this field, maybe in technology or sciences. So we have some of those biases where female or girls feel like, oh, this particular discipline is for boys and not for girls, it's not suited for me. And so they shy away. So those are some of the challenges you may want to identify in your school milieu. And then we equally have arts as suited for girls. That's the same kind of bias as well. We have cultural and religious norms too. We also have school-related gender-based violence. So these are some of the aspects you may want to consider when writing your application. So I'm drawing your attention to some of these things in which maybe you see in your school environment, in your community, and you believe that your participation in the program or in the cohort is going to help you to better articulate some of these issues. Can we move to the next slide? Another component to look out for is, if applicable, despite strategies you have implemented to expand or improve opportunities for girls education or address other important issues affecting girls in your community. So we see that this is about your community. So you can get out of the school context, okay? You can get out of the school context, you can be a teacher leader, you can be out of the classroom but still doing marvelous work for the girls' education. So you have to mention that. And so what are some of the strategies? What are some of the strategies? You have a topic sentence, then you move to in-class activities. This is just a proposal. You may want to mention in-class activities to foster gender-responsive classroom. Remember that we are moving from a gender-responsive classroom to the focus of the girl child, okay? So do not forget that part each time you're developing your writing. So some of gender-responsive classroom activities could be motivational talks, role models, digital technology, gender inclusiveness. We equally have institutional support, okay? Maybe you teach in a school where there is actually a focus about gender responsiveness, okay? About girls' education. Maybe that's one of the agenda of the school. Or maybe you are just passionate about it, okay? And you want to bring that into your school and have other people on board or other teachers on board. So you may want to mention that. And also we have school clubs and other after school programs. So if you are part of a school club or you coordinate a school club or you have other after school programs where you continue to channel the cause, okay, of getting girls staying in school and having quality education, you may want to mention that. If you volunteer, if you have volunteering activities in NGOs or whatever, you may want to mention that. You equally have community-led programs. Maybe you belong to an association that promotes girls' education, maybe a traditional cultural association, I don't know, whatever. Maybe religious programs in most of our religious settings, we have some of those programs. So if you are particularly passionate about it and you are involved in it and contribute positively, you may want to mention that as well. Make sure to conclude every paragraph. I'm sure you'll be seeing that at the end of all the slides. So for conclusion, you will want to mention a topic sentence as well. It's very important. So aspirations of the cohort, you are probably interested to gain skills to address gender issues, maybe through policies, through agendas. You are interested to use digital pedagogy to foster gender responsive classrooms. Also incorporate gender inclusive classroom management. You probably are interested also in having various ways to encourage both boys and girls to be active participants in the learning process. You are also probably, you also aspire probably to shun biases and prejudices which hinder girls from fully exploring their potentials and gain quality education. Oh, there's another proposal, or you may want to conclude by mentioning that you look forward to learning about the situation of other countries and their best practices. You may also want to conclude by saying that you will be able to disseminate knowledge learned from the program to your different networks, okay, in order to continue the fight for filling in the gender gap, okay, or promoting gender responsive classrooms and quality education for girls. So remember to conclude every paragraph, and your conclusion as well needs to be concluded. So questions and answer slot, which I think will come just after my presentation. Thank you for active participation. Good luck in your application. I think I've come to the end.
Yes, a very fruitful end, a very wonderful end. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for this very marvelous presentation, so practical. I would like to add here that I'm equally part of this cohort. I was in Bowling Green State University, and little did I know that what I contributed, what I did in my school, it had to do with cohort. I just wrote that, you know, I should say anything that I did to promote girl education. And I remember this wonderful incident that an upper seat student daughter and child to the parents. And so they were so disappointed in her, believing so much in her education. And so they decided to stay, let her stay back for a whole academic year. And the next academic year, she was almost married off to a man. I was so mad. I had to go meet the parents, convince these parents that if you do this, then you are unfair. The author of the pregnancy is out there going to school, going to university, and here you're holding your child back to get married. This is unfair. And so I contributed in ensuring that the child went back to school, and I equally financially supported to make sure the child went back to school. And I didn't know that it was a wonderful thing that I did that actually ended me this scholarship program. So ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, the little acts that we do there, which this program really opens up opportunities for all of us. So thank you once more. I thought I should contribute because I was part of this cohort program too in 2017. Cynthia came to the same university. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Once more, we'll give room for reaction from others. Yes?
Tambe?
Yes.
Yes, I want to express my congratulations to Cynthia for this brilliant presentation, and I want to think that that this particular part of the application, I think the response there should not be no. Yes. Are you interested? Everybody has to say yes, because it is a way of encouraging gender-friendly classrooms. So that's my personal opinion about that, and I think participants should take that into consideration, because back at home we have a lot of challenges with respect to gender issues. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Fulbright. Any contribution from you before we go back to the chat section for questions?
All right, thank you so much once again to all the presenters. I think, as Sam said, nobody should choose no, that are not interested in this section. It is quite interesting, and you can really say so much about this in your application. And I think from Cynthia's presentation, she basically gave us an idea of how your essay could look like. I'm sure from the one I would have been taking down notes, or at least noting down some of the points that appeared on her slide, because her slides were really, really rich and could really help you to write a very good essay about that section. So so far, we don't have any questions in the chat yet.
No, there is a question. There is a question there pertaining to the previous presentation by Loveland. Please, can you give a brief explanation on publication, awards, honors, professional achievements? And there's also a follow-up question from, yes, I think publication like, okay, Loveland Chiaga responded to that. like this articles awards, like best teacher awards, something like that. Maybe some other person can contribute to that to answer that question profoundly.
Yeah. If you do not have any publication, don't force it. If you are not a PhD holder, don't write. Write what you are. That's why we said there's no lies telling here. If you were awarded a best teacher award, fine, get on board. That is what you are. Do not copy some other person's being. That is that person, and you are you. That's why you need to come out and give us who you are, how unique you are from others. Remember, it is very competitive. Just to acknowledge the presence of one of the participants in the US, Nanja Itango.
Wow, happy to have you, Nanja. Okay, I think,
Nanja, are you getting us? Nanja, can you unmute yourself? Oh.
Sorry, okay. I can get you now. Sorry, I was we had a small meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so how are you guys doing out there?
That is going very well. It's it's mind blowing. I was just trying to type a comment so that these are the same tips I followed last year, and it was wonderful. And we want to thank everybody who gave us these tips last year. So I just wanted to encourage those who are following that. There's no connection in this thing. There's no witchcraft. There is no bribery. It's all about what you have been doing and what you have to write.
Wow. Okay, we have thank you very much for that motivation. Let's get a handshake from one of the participants has, and that's Robert. Robert wants to add something.
Robertson is up.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, thank you once more for giving me the floor. I just wanted to say, as far as publications and awards are concerned, they're talking about like certificate of excellence, maybe best teacher, as they said, and also best student. I mean, they said the last 10 years, you must have been maybe the best class prefect, the best student. And I see many teachers today do write some handouts. I mean, some pamphlets that the sell. I mean, those things are publications. I mean, it's a pamphlet you've written. If you have something like that you've written, it's to your account, so you could mention it in your application. So all of those things, that's what they call the publications. If you have written an article that was published somewhere, it could be in the in Cameroon Tribune or whatsoever. I mean, if you have an article that has been published, that's good. You take it down. It could be just a magazine that is produced by the regional delegation of secondary education or the ministry, and you have an article that was published in that magazine. Yes, that is a publication. So it's nothing complicated. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just to add that even in school magazine is okay. But then if you don't have it, if you are not having any publications, as Delphine said, don't force it. It's a no, you don't have, and that's simple. And then also respect the number of words given. They say 500 maximum. So people should always learn to respect the number of words. When you go beyond, you start getting red indications everywhere. So try to write within the number of words required.
Thank you,
Right.
for that input.
Yes,
Dear
Tambe.
participants.
Tambe.
Yes, I can get you, sir.
Yeah, there are about 3 more questions in the chat box. Can you just check? There is one about TOEFL.
Yes, it has been answered by Lovely. That
okay,
TOEFL is only done after the selection.
Okay, and then there is another question about is whether you could consider your school as a community or your community as a school. Has that been answered?
Well, I think I would like to come in to say that, of course,
if that has not been answered, we can just get, we can quickly take on that one.
Yes, that's what I'm doing
Yes.
now.
So your school, okay, just take that one.
Yes, your school is a community. That's true. Your classroom is another small community. That's true. And then your environment, even the bigger community, that's your quarter in which you live it, or the village in which you live it. So we have three aspects of community: your classroom, your school, and your general community where you live it. So all these areas are necessary for you to feel, be part of it. And whatever contributions you make in any of these aspects of community, I think it's going to help a lot. Sam, any addition to that?
That's a great response.
Okay.
Perfectly said.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the final part of the presentation, our Fulbright application mentorship process, day 2. And this is exactly where we're going to entertain lots of questions and answers. So thank you so much once again for the presenters, part 5, 6, 7, and 8. Part 5 was on work history. Part 6, teaching schedules. Part 7, additional education or professional experience and activities. Part 8, Fulbright gender cohort. So we've had all these presentations. So let's welcome questions from all angles relating to these different presentations. Over to you. We have
Okay, Mr. Tommy, there is a question on by Miss Spa. She's asking, what if you had a great impact in your former school and you just were recently transferred to another school? So wants to find out how you actually put that in your application. I don't know if there's somebody who can respond to her question.
You can go ahead, Fobank, to answer.
Okay, anyway.
Can I attend?
Okay, Robert, go ahead, please.
Yes, SG. Okay, Robert is on board. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you. So I wanted to say you are applying for the new as a teacher in a new school, in a new environment. So the best thing you would like to do is to talk about what you're doing in the new environment. But since you need to look for a way to say you are new in that environment and this is what you've encountered, and then you may want to compare to what you had been doing in the other school, and you mentioned what you had been doing and you think this is what you're going to do here and see how it works. But try to kind of have a mix up, but remember that you are applying as a teacher in a new community, and if they are selecting you for the new community and not for the old community. Yes, you might state what you did there, but remember that you're going to be selected for a new community where you are. But what you did there is going to account for, your leadership skills and your professional development skills. No, that is part of what you did there. So you will look for where to. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your response. I think that is clear enough. I don't know if somebody has something to add to that question before. Get another question.
I think Cynthia had something to add.
Yes, Inspector, I was going to add that you cannot throw all what you did in the former school under the bridge. You cannot throw all of that under the bridge. But again, you have to start making impact in your new school, because that is where you work now. And from what you did while in the other school, you have had some fruit that you could transfer, or that you touched people or impacted learners or your colleagues. So just to corroborate with what Robert said. So what you did in your former school could have some fruits or could give you the leeway to be engagement in your new school or in your new environment. Thank you.
That's wonderful answer, Cynthia. Thank you.
Yeah, Tambe, Cynthia, in another way, in other words, we are saying that what you have already done in the other schools is like an achievement, and you now need to link that achievement as a perspective of what you want to carry to the new school. I think, does that make more sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other reaction? Our participants, this is the time for us. We shall have ample time, about 15 more minutes left, or 20, thereabout, that we can use to really ask so many questions. We are here for you, so your questions will really guide us to know how to guide you too.
I think the participants or the applicants, make sure you have already started the application process, so that's what will give you a means to be able to ask critical thinking, open-ended questions. But if you have not even started the application process, you don't even know what to ask.
That's true. So Ngum Adeline is has a hand up, please. Ngum Adeline, can we hear your voice?
Good evening once again. Can you hear me?
Your network has breakups.
Okay.
Oh, it's better now.
Is it better now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I wish to know, we talked about what you do for your community. Is it what you do differently, or
please, Adeline, can you check your network?
Hello, Adeline. Your network is very drowsy. Yeah? Your network is really drawing your voice. Please write your question. Please write a question on the chat box, given that the network is not good. Hello, Adeline. Yes, your network has breakups. It's really drowsy. So could you please put that in the chat box for us to get a clear understanding of what our question is?
Okay, please let me just come in with a gentle reminder that we have just 17 days left to the end of the application. So I hope that participants are actively working on the applications already, because it ends on the 20th and today is already the 3rd of March.
Thanks so much for that reminder. Thank you so much for that, lovely. So we are waiting for more reactions, questions from our participants. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Adeline clearly. We hope that she puts that in the chat box since she has network issues.
Okay, just to add while we're waiting for the next question, most often while filling the application, it might be better to copy the questions and write your essays using a Word document so that you easily get to proofread it and revise it, so that when you want to submit, you just copy and paste before you submit. At times, typing online directly might cause you to lose information. You've heard of people maybe who kept on typing and all of a sudden they could not tell where all their essays went to. But you could type your essays separately and you go gradually. And when you want to submit, you just copy and paste and you submit. To avoid things like I misplaced my essays and things like that.
That's very good precision. And to add, please, remember that when you are counting the words, you cannot do that inside the application. You have to go back to Word. Word will be able to permit you to say how many words you've written so far. So once you are very certain with that, you can now copy and paste so that you don't go above the word limit.
Okay.
Another tip, please.
Another reminder.
I wanted to add that they should always remember to save before continuing to the next stage. Everything you do, save. So if tomorrow you're coming back to your work, you have what you had already written and you can just edit from there. So always save before you continue to the next phase.
Thank you so much for that. Lovely.
Yeah, I have this reminder on time. Lovely just reminded us that we have 17 more minutes, 17 more days. Applicants are reminded that last minute's rush might hamper the quality of your work, especially if you want someone else to proofread your work. If you don't work with a person in time, then you might find yourself hustling the person to read through, and the person might not do a quality job. So the earlier, the better.
Okay, let's come back to Ngum Adeline. This is the question she has put in the chat box. What if the impact you had on your community is not current? Can it be mentioned on the application? And then as a follow-up question, I think there's a reaction there. MISPA sees this as a contradiction. And when it comes to the number of hours on average, can one do on a full-time teaching per week and community, and then the timetable that requires you to teach 40 hours? Is it that this full timetable do not have preparation time and so on? I don't know whether if somebody has a clear understanding of a question, we can react. So we have two worries here. First, that of Adeline. What if the impact you had on your community is not current? Can it be mentioned on the application?
Permit me to come in there. Remember, in that section, they said what you've been doing for the past 10 years.
That's correct.
Yes. So whatever thing you've been doing, and maybe we can say you are in a crisis zone like some of us this way, and you are no longer in your present school, maybe things you used to do, you are no longer doing. You have to say why. For the moment, there is that gap in your activities. But then, you have to indicate why there's that gap, but try to show that all along you have been doing so much, and this is what you've been doing for your community, and you hope to continue doing that for your community. It's don't neglect those areas, please.
Okay, for Mwambi, MISPA, well, your workload requires that you teach 18 hours per week. Here you have a full-time load of 40.
Have we lost Tambe?
Hello, Tambe.
Did you get me?
Yes,
It seems we have lost
Emmanuel?
him.
Emmanuel?
Yes.
Yes, I think
yes.
Delphine can handle that question since she handled the session on the schedule, because MISPA wants to find out. MISPA's question has to do with timetable.
Yeah.
But so Delphine, I don't know if you're well connected.
Like we said earlier, your timetable specifies just your teaching, active teaching in the class. That is your presence in the class. Now, before teaching, you needed to have prepared, planned. So all those hours should be taken into consideration.
Okay.
Yes. So Delphine is just saying that on our timetables, we have 18 hours, for example, of teaching hours. But beside the teaching hours, you can have about 4 or 5 hours of preparatory lessons. And then you also have some other hours of grading of students, grading and evaluation of students. So actually, if you have on your timetable 18 hours, you should cover not less than 25 hours a week. MISPA, I don't know if your question has been answered.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, Robert, go ahead.
Yes, MISPA's question is, I don't know, I don't even think it's a problem what she's posing. She's saying that to be a full-time teacher requires you to teach 18 hours, but you've got 40 hours on your timetable. What is the problem there? You've got a timetable, simply go there and then put in your 40 hours that you have. Do they know whether full-time in Cameroon is 18 or this? They just, yesterday I even explained that. I said full-time, take full-time to be a permanent teacher, and then the other one to be part-time or vacataire. If you're a vacataire or a part-time teacher, then you're not teaching full-time. But if you're teaching as a permanent teacher somewhere, even if you have 5 periods, take it as your full-time. But just go on the schedule, put all your 40 hours. They are not rejecting anything from you. Put all the hours that you teach. Even if you're a full-time and you have only 5 periods in that school, go and put, and you have some other, even 100 periods in the other school, just go and put them in so far as they fit on the timetable, because you have They will give you a timetable where you have the day starting from this time to this time. Where are you? This other time from Monday to Friday, you are the one filling. And then nobody is going to check whether she said she's full-time and full-time is only 18, but she has 1450 or something, nothing like that. Just go and put your hours on the timetable. That's all. Thank you.
Foster wants to know if there is any negative impact on any applicants who could not finish the application, maybe due to loss of data or caught by time.
No negative impact at all. If you don't finish your application, there is no problem. It means that you couldn't finish. So there's no negative impact at all.
It means
yes.
It means you
Tambe?
cannot submit. You cannot submit an incomplete application.
No, yeah, Tambe. Just permit me to say that whether it's Prosper or the applicant needs to understand that each of those questions you are being graded on each of those questions, which means if you leave out a majority of the questions, automatically you are already disqualifying yourself because you are not going to meet up with the with the cut-off mark. So each of those questions has a score that is being attributed to. So if you leave out any questions or you don't answer the question adequately by providing sufficient and convincing material, then you are only reducing your points and hence you will not be selected. So you are just disqualifying yourself.
Okay. The fun is that he did not even complete the application, so he didn't submit because an incomplete application can't be submitted.
Okay, let's get from Abusu Robert. Hand up. Yes, Abusu?
Good evening once more.
Good evening.
I wish to appreciate and thank you all for your wonderful presentations and contributions. Yeah, I have a puzzle. Actually, before I went into teaching, I went, first of all, I went out for adventure in Malabo, where I had that interest of teaching. I started teaching French, to the Spanish, to the Equatorial Guineans, and English. So it's from there that I developed interest in teaching. Then when I left there, I came back. I passed about 2, 3, 4 years. I went to ENS before coming back to start teaching. So I wish to find out if, while talking about my experiences and my total period of teaching, should I mention that experience, or I mention only the one that I'm teaching now presently? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So we expect contributions. Yes. Can someone respond to that?
Yes, Tambe. I think Lovelyn earlier answered that question by indicating that the application is asking for your experience for the past maybe 10 years. So if you travel to whether Equatorial Guinea, back to Cameroon, back to ENS and all of that, if it falls within the period, the 10 years experience period in what you are doing as far as teaching is concerned, then you can feel free to link it up. But if it is not within this period, and then just select what is relevant within the given period and then move on with it.
Yeah, in addition, we have to bear in mind that it's not just moving from one place to another, teaching a year, and that make it an experience. No, the experience in question is the impact you create in bringing change, the impact you create in overcoming challenges that you face. Like we pointed out in the area of inclusion, promoting girls' education, handling club activities, making sure that technology is used in class. So all of that, you don't bring all those things. All those things will be relevant to show that you did in those schools that you travel to. But just saying that I taught in this place for this number of years, I went and taught here, I don't see any impact that you have created as far as those particular activities are not brought out that you did. So we have to be very careful the way we bring our ideas and making our experiences relevant.
Thank you very much.
Okay, permit me to add that there is a section that asks if you've been out of the country before, if you've traveled out of your country before. So if I think an experience like that can count. You've been out of the country. Hopefully you have a passport that will start. Yes. So you have to indicate that you were out for during period of time and you did something like that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 more minutes left for us to round up, because based on our program, we are supposed to round up at 8:50, and here we are at 8:45. That means we are within time, and we can have some more time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes for further questions. Is the understanding of school in this context limited to regular secondary schools? What about work done at education centers, which aren't as conventional as regular schools? This question is from Arnold Gobela from the chat box.
Yes, Mr. Tambe, that one has, I think, do you permit me answer it?
Go ahead, Robert.
Yes, I think that one has to do with community work, but it's not what you're doing at school. It's community work, impact in the community. That one is part of what is in the community, but not at your school. It's not school work, but it is community work, which is counted. So you just need to know where you have to put that one, but not what you're doing at school. Thank you.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much, Robert, for that input.
Yeah, let me try to understand. I don't know if the person is talking about teaching in like education centers that are not conventional schools.
Maybe
because normally there was an area where, yeah, maybe that. And that's why at the beginning, Robert insisted that before you apply for a program, make sure that you read the eligibility. Secondary school teacher, you're a secondary school teacher, maybe in a linguistic center. Are you eligible from the eligibility criteria? Did you see that you are eligible to do that? Please go back and check on that. I think so. But if it comes to community work, community is not limited to school. Yes, your school is your number one community as an educator. Your school is your number one community, your class, your classroom, your school in general, your neighborhood, your church, whatever you're doing, that's your community. So it goes beyond that. But then if it's about work, you have to check again the eligibility, because it says secondary school teachers, primary and secondary school teachers, and in Cameroon it's mostly secondary.
Thank you, lovely. Fobang, are you there?
Yes, Tambe, I'm right here.
Okay, fine. So we are within time, and very soon we are getting out of time. So I don't know whether there is any other thing for us to add. If not, to appreciate our participants. Oh, there is a hand up from Arnold. Arnold again. Another question? Okay.
Okay.
Yes, if I may, just to follow up, I've gotten Robert's explanation and the explanation by the others. I'll just like to clarify so that I can get perhaps clearer input. I'm a secondary school teacher, but at the moment I work at the distance learning center. That's where I've been assigned to. So that's where I'm currently assigned. And so I want some clarification, because it's not really a school, but that's my current station. So that's why I was asking that question. Thank you.
Do you have an established timetable?
Well, not exactly. I'm sure Robert will understand what I'm talking about. There isn't a very clearly established timetable, so that's why it's a little bit concerning.
Did you begin the academic year in your school before being sent on secondment to the distance education center?
So perhaps I should make it clearer. I have a school to which I'm posted. You understand the idea of being posted to a regular school, but then I've been assigned to distance learning center. So basically all of my interventions are done at the distance learning center full time. So if I say, for example, that I currently work at my school, which is GBS in Bonso, that would be a lie, because I've been assigned, although I'm posted there officially, we know in our context know what posting means, but I've been assigned for over a year and a half to the distance learning center. So it means basically what I do is all part of distance learning center, from lesson preparation to training teachers to recording lessons and all of that.
More. Okay, I see. It means you don't have direct impact.
So
with,
that makes
with,
you a teacher's trainer.
Yeah.
That makes you a teacher's trainer. Yes, I guess, and definitely you have a timetable for that.
Yeah. Tambe.
I'm getting you. Go ahead, Sam.
Yes. The distance education center, is it not for secondary schools?
It is.
It is. So are you not working for secondary education?
You are.
You are. So the first thing is you should know how to present the situation. You should know how to present the situation, please. Yes, because from the classroom and then from the distance education center as an additional activity that you are doing for secondary education.
And again, to add, Sam, I would like to
yes.
add. Oh, Cynthia is up. Let me give room to Cynthia, please. Cynthia?
Okay.
Add that it all depends on how you put it. You may have a very good case that you don't know how to put it. Working at a distance learning center takes learning out of the traditional classroom to a virtual platform. So
yes.
I think that if you use that, it will be very good for your application, because maybe most of the applicants will just be one-on-one teaching teachers, or like in-person teachers, but the idea of being assigned to a distance learning center where you have only the virtual platform, and that's where the world is turning to now in terms of education. That will be a good thing to say or to use in your application. However, those who assigned you to the distance learning center should be able to give you a program, a plan of work, okay? Because you put in hours there, you put in services there, they should be able to give you a document that you can use as a timetable or a plan of activity, or what you do actually there and the time you spend doing whatever you do there. So you can use that to fill the other parts of the application where you have to put in workload and all of those. So I think that you are eligible to apply. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much. I think that's the input I wanted to put in. That's very, very complimentary. Thank you, Cynthia, for that.
He should also note that his assignment to the distance education platform is an advantage, because it was for him to go and solve a particular problem. And now he is not only having the traditional learners, he also has a bigger picture, which is the virtual learners now tackling the entire nation. That is from his classroom to the entire nation, because the distance education platform serves the entire nation as well as the world. And then he can as well establish a timetable. Only him can establish a timetable, because now it is in the office level. So he feels that there is no timetable. But you know what you do there on a daily basis and on a weekly basis. So you can as well establish the timetable.
Just to add that the idea of a timetable is not that you're going to screenshot or you're going to scan your school timetable and send to the IREX to convince them that you have a timetable. No. There's a space they're giving for you to fill in, how you work and the number of hours. You're a better place to do all of that, do that calculation yourself, and you'll be able to establish a timetable per se. Of course, you do have a timetable. It must not be the kind of timetable that we give out to teachers from the vice principals. Okay?
Well understood. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, here we come at the tail end of our presentation today. It has been a very wonderful and engaging, and the presentations have been very, very awesome. And I want to thank one of my friends, a long time, Mbotiji Boket Waters, thanking us for the benevolent and succinct explanation. It has really encouraged us and wishing us kudos, especially for the good job we are doing. Thank you so much, Mbotiji Waters, for that, for those compliments and for that encouragement as well. Thanks for this presentation. The knowledge will help us go a long way to further and continue our application. That's from Lukong Yunusa Fanwong. Thank you for that. And Foster is equally thanking us very much We appreciate you for those encouraging words. And thank you guys once again for coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been wonderful. And thanking you once again and hoping that tomorrow, Saturday, everything being equal, the network issues will be much better than they are today. Fulbright Emmanuel?
Yes, Tambe, thank you so much. And thanks once again to all the participants and to all the presenters. And thanks again to Open Dreams for allowing us to use their platform to host this, to have this meeting. We are truly, truly grateful for their support. And like you said, tomorrow is the last of this mentorship program. And I think is the most important, given that we are going to be discussing the different essays that we have to write, the purpose statement, and so on and so forth. So I think tomorrow is a no-miss event. So with that said, I don't know if you have any last word, then we can round up for today.
That should come from our president.
Okay. Okay, so we'll hand over to our president, Sam, to give us closing remarks to end today's session.
Okay, what else will I say? I just have to thank the entire crew for these selfless services that are being rendered out here, and to thank the different participants who have created time. You see, we are here because they are there, and they are there because we are also here. So I just wish that tomorrow they should connect on time, and we will be there on time as well, and we'll continue the work. So especially to those who presented today, they did a very good job. Congratulations, thumbs up for all of you, and thumbs up for the association. So without saying much again, let's say tomorrow is another day. Catch you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, thank you.
Good night. Bye to everyone.
No pictures for today.
We'll get the last pictures tomorrow.
I have screenshots. I screenshot some pictures.
Okay, thank you.
Lovely. Now I'll send you pictures.
All
Don't
right.
bother.
All right. Thank you.
Can everybody put on their camera? Let's screenshot for the last time.
All right.
Can we put on our camera? Each time I screenshot, my picture is wow. Okay.
It's terrible.
Bye-bye.
We don't have electricity.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.